Hey everyone, this is Saurabh Maurya and once welcome you all in Lingualite Capital. So dear friends, in this lecture we will discuss one of the very important term of linguistics, that is especially from the neurolinguistics, which is the brain and language. It means this topic deals with the study of the connection between language and the brain, or the how the language is connected with the brain. Generally, in our routine's life, we do so many errors in the sentence, or we speak something, or we give any statement to someone, or we call to someone, then we don't do any kind of the error. Or if you throw any ball to anyone with your left hand or with your right hand, or if you are writing something with your left hand or right hand, then what the parts of our brain is responsible, what the part of our body is responsible for all those actions. So in this lecture we will discuss about all those phenomena which is responsible for our language faculty and some voluntary and involuntary actions. Especially here we can see that sometimes we call to someone but we don't do any kind of the error. This will only be happen when you don't have any kind of a stroke in your mind. But as per the time process, sometimes this happens with everyone or some of the yes, that when you got any accident and your accident, that case is just fall from towards the right side or the left side, then there's a stroke in the left side of the brain or right side of the brain, then this causes the loss of the language faculty. Sometimes you lost the pronunciations, sometimes you lost the words of the name, words in you can say that sometimes this happens with us, that we just forget the name of the person, that who is that person. People generally say that this person is in a coma, he cannot identify to anyone. This happens with the stroke in the left hemisphere or the right hemisphere of the brain. Generally the language faculty is situated, or we can say the language faculty is situated in the left hemisphere of the brain in the maximum cases. And most of the cases this happens that the patient is fine, there is no any much more mistake, but the patient has the issue in the pronunciation of the words. The patient has the problem in naming of the word. Sometimes he speaks the more grammatically. He either the grammatical like he is something like that. And sometimes he don't do any kind of the error in the sentence. So if you have a stroke in your brain, either left side or right side or any part of your body, any part of your brain, then this is the fix and certain that you will lose something in your language faculty. You may be lost the vowel sounds, you may be lost the consonant sounds, you may be lost the grammatical phenomena, you may be lost to identify the names, but you would have a problem. So here all these phenomena we study in neurolinguistics. This is the part 1 of this lecture, and in this lecture we will do a general study, and after that later we will talk about everything. So as we have stated that the study of the biological and neural foundation of language is called neurology. I mean neurolinguistics. And in this phenomena, when do we talk about our brain, then the brain is the most complex organ of our body. It lies under the 100 millions of the neurons, which is known to be the nerve cells, and 100 millions of the fibers that interconnect with them. When do we talk about our brain, then the upper part, which is known to be the surface of the brain, which is generally known as the cortex. The cortex is often known as the gray matter. This question generally asked in the examination, then which part of our brain is known as the gray matter? Then the cortex is often or generally known to be the gray matter, which is the decision making part of our body. And when do we talk about the cortex is the decision making part of our body and also is known to be the storehouse. It receives or we can say all this sends the message from all the sensory organs and receives all the voluntary and involuntary actions. The brain is composed of the cerebral hemisphere, one in the right side and one in the left side. And between these two hemispheres there is a liquid or there is a matter which is known as the corpus callosum. In corpus callosum there are 100 millions of the fibers that are interconnected. So here when before this I was talking about that if you do any kind of the work with your right hand or left hand, then our brain is responsible for all these works. So the brain is composed of the cerebral hemisphere, one in the right and one in the left, and between these two there is the corpus callosum, which is responsible for communicate with each other. So when we do any kind of action or we throw any ball with our right hand or with our left hand, then if we do any kind of the work, if suppose that if you are paralyzed with the left side of our body, then must remember that there is the issue or there is the loss in your right hemisphere of the brain. If your right hemisphere is completely closed, completely stroked, damaged, then you will lose everything from your right hemisphere if you have a case in the left hemisphere. And if you have a case with the right hemisphere, then you will lose everything from your left hemisphere. Generally you can see, you can sense this, that if you are doing any work with your left hemisphere, then all these phenomena is responsible only your right hemisphere, and if you do any work with your right hemisphere, then your left hemisphere of the brain is responsible for all these actions. So here we can say that the left hemisphere controls the right side of the body and the right hemisphere controls the left side of the body. And in this phenomena we have a term localization, which is given by the Franz Joseph Gall. The Sir Franz Joseph Gall given the theory of localization, which means that if you have a stroke, if you have a damage in your brain, then there would be any specific part of your brain. Means localization, the term localization means if you have a injury or if you have a stroke in any part of your brain, then that is known to be the localization. Localization means any specific part of, if you are I mean your brain is damaged any specific part of your brain, then this theory is known to be the localization. In our next lecture we will discuss about the aphasia. Aphasia, it means, it sounds very good. In aphasia we talk about all those causes of all those the reasons behind the language loss. So just wait for our next video, and please do subscribe and share as much as possible. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much.